Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk really briefly about an herb known as Gynostemma pentaphyllum, also known as Jiaogulan. And this is a treasured herb within the traditional Chinese medicine system. It has a very interesting effect known as double directionism. And what that is, ladies and gentlemen, is that it can either uplift and provide energy or it can help you unwind and de stress. So I've experimented with Gynostemma for years now. Years ago, when I became interested in herbs, I went on this, I decided to go on a journey trying to find the best herbs, herbs that could provide benefit for me and uplift my mind and provide clarity and energy, herbs that could de stress. I'm very interested in things that help boost the cognition, boost the mental faculties, and boost the physical health. And what I've eventually found through my experiments and trial and error was that the traditional Chinese medicine system has a multitude of very unique herbs known as tonic herbs that are very beneficial for the mind, the body, and the spirit. That's one of the things I like most about the herbs that are in the tonic herb system or bracket of traditional Chinese medicine. They not only feed the body and provide massive amounts of nutrition, but they feed the mind in a very unique way. Things like reishi mushroom, properly extracted reishi mushroom can be one of the most beneficial things for human health, in my opinion. And again, that's one of the kingpins of the tonic herb system of traditional Chinese medicine. One of my favorite herbs, known as Schisandra, which is a berry, and although it's a berry, it's classified as an herb in the literature. One of the most powerful things that you could ever put in your body, in my opinion, for your health, especially mental health. Schizandra berry is arguably or potentially the greatest tonic herb of all time, or the greatest herb that we currently have access to, that we know about, because there's all sorts of new discoveries being made and new herbs are being discovered and things like that. But Schizandra, ladies and gentlemen, also known as Wu Wei Zi, or the five flavored berry, is absolutely powerful. And although I love Gynostemma, although I love reishi, although I love cordyceps mushroom, and although I love chaga, although I love lycium, also known as wolfberry or the goji berry, there's a special place in my heart for the Schizandra berry. Wow. And just briefly before we continue, I want to mention something about goji berries, also known as wolfberries or lycium. I've made videos talking about goji berry in the past, and people have responded in kind of a negative way. And I can understand that, because most of the goji berries on the market are garbage. I believe they're called Heaven Mountain goji berries. If you get the goji berries from the Dragon Herbs Company, ladies and gentlemen, they are incredible. And I think I have those in my Amazon store. And you can get them cheap, and they come from a pristine part of the world. And, a lot of the goji berries on the market I've had real goji berries, and then I've had like supermarket goji berries, and they are unreasonably tough in texture. They don't taste good. They leave a funky aftertaste in your mouth. So just like anything else in life, quality is very important. Quality is more important than quantity when it comes to herbs, when it comes to superfoods and things like that. And I hate using the word superfood because it is kind of a rehashed term. It's kind of a new agey term, but it's true. Certain foods have massively just very interesting, certain foods, let's rephrase that. Certain herbs, foods, berries, you name it, have very unique nutritional profiles that kind of put them in their own league of their own, in comparison to some of the other foods out here that are very, nutritionally inadequate. So for some reason, people in the West seem to think that I don't know. There's a lot of herbs that are used in the West. This is what I'm trying to convey. There's a lot of Western herbalists use herbs that are actually quite dangerous, and they are not designed or meant to be taken every day. So certain herbs have medicinal effects, and they're supposed to be consumed short term. And then there are other herbs that are safe enough for daily consumption. And that's why I like the tonic herb system of traditional Chinese medicine. The herbs are not medicines, they're foods. And because they're foods, they're designed and they're meant to be consumed on a daily basis, at least most of them. Now, I'm not recommending that anyone consume herbs every day or anything like that. I'm just telling you what I do. And what works for me and what works for many other people. I do consume herbs on a daily basis, and I'll continue to do this for the duration of my life. I am a huge fan of the different plants and the different things that nature grows for us that can provide massive benefit for our health. And based on my research, trial and error, constant experimentation, I've found that there are just certain herbs out there that are much better than others. And Gynostemma pentaphyllum is one of them. This is very cooling to the system. It is very de-stressing to the mind and the emotional faculties, at least it is for me. And it has a very anti-anxiety effect. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that this herb is going to help you, that it's going to magically just get rid of your anxiety, but it does have adaptogenic qualities. And because of its large adaptogenic constituents, its large array of them, it can help reduce stress. And when you reduce stress, you calm the mind. And when you calm the mind, you find your mind traveling to more beneficial thoughts and emotions instead of stress, worry, guilt, you name it. So many people have depression issues. So many people have emotional issues. We need to start nourishing our bodies with foods that not only feed the body, but help calm the mind down. And there are safe ways of doing this. And the tonic herbs are one of the greatest ways to do that. They're kind of the spearhead of beneficial herbs. So Gynostemma pentaphyllum, also known as Jiaogulan, ladies and gentlemen, it calms the mind with the adaptogenic qualities. And for those who don't know, an adaptogen is something that helps your body cope with stress. It helps your body adapt. Again, adaptogen. It helps your body and your mind adapt to its environment. And that's why, Gynostemma, in my opinion, this is why I consume it on a regular basis. It's because it helps me deal with stress. And I have a lot of stress in my life, and I've had anxiety issues and even depression issues for the majority of my life. But things have gotten so much better for me with the application of, nutrition through super mineral and vitamin dense foods, certain herbs like Gynostemma, and especially the Schisandra has helped me massively. There's also a great product, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are interested. Something that I consume regularly is there's a product called Purity Natural Beauty. That's the company, and they have a blend of herbs called it's called Brain Boost. So if you go onto Amazon, I'll put links in my description box below. If you go onto Amazon and type in Brain Boost Purity Natural Beauty, they have a blend of 6 different components. It's got black pepper extract in it. It's got huperzine A. It's got lion's mane, which is a particular mushroom, which is very good for inducing neurogenesis, the proliferation of new neurons in the brain. Lion's mane, just a side note here, actually helps rebuild myelin on the myelin sheath. It helps the nerve. It's good for nerve health. It's good for brain health. But it's also got reishi mushroom spore extract. It's just an all-around great tonic. It also has one of my favorite herbs, which is Bacopa monnieri. And they put an extract of Bacopa in that blend. In order to get the most out of most herbs, you want to consume them in extracted form. And that blend of herbs is extracted. This tea is not an extract of Gynostemma. This is just 100% dried organic Gynostemma leaves, but it still has a great effect. I do prefer consuming things extracted, however, and that's why I really like that blend that I just told you guys about. That's also why I drink a lot of Spring Dragon Longevity Tea, which has Gynostemma in it. It's also got an extracted form of Schisandra and Lycium and Astragalus and a handful of tonic herbs. So Spring Dragon Longevity Tea is arguably one of the greatest teas available here in 2019 for daily health for consuming daily for our health, excuse me. But Gynostemma stimulates the treasures of Chinese healing, and I'll talk more about that in the near future. I've talked extensively about that in previous videos, but this is just an all-around great herb. If you go to Asian markets, you guys, you can find I know at 99 Ranch you can actually find, which is it's like a supermarket, an Asian supermarket, you can find Gynostemma in boxes for about $8 for 100 bags. And I've never been able to find it organic at these supermarkets, but the stuff is absolutely powerful and effective. At least that's been my own personal subjective experience. I don't consume everything organic. And, aside from Gynostemma, which is one of my favorite teas, again, I mentioned Schisandra earlier. Schisandra, you guys, I get a lot of questions about because I've talked about it so much here on my YouTube channel. And one thing I get asked about a lot about Schisandra is how I consume it. I consume Schisandra most often as a tea. I also consume it as a tincture, and I also consume it as an extract in a capsulated form. My favorite way to consume Schisandra is as a tea. Now, I will make Schisandra into tinctures, and I'll show you guys how to do that in the near future with quality vodka. And yes, I was an alcoholic in the past. Those who watch my channel know that, but I've overcome addiction. And, taking a few drops of a tincture with a little bit of alcohol, at least at this point in my life with my sobriety, I've reached a crystal clear state of sobriety where I'm not tempted. I don't mind taking 12 drops of Schisandra tincture every once in a while. There was a point, however, when I was getting sober where I refused to take alcohol tinctures because I was so fed up with alcohol that I refused to even put it in my mouth. And for that, if you want, you can take glycerin and make glycerin tinctures. And I'll show you guys how to do that in the near future as well. But Schisandra as a tincture, you need to be careful with it because it can be so potent and so mentally stimulating that it can keep you up for a couple days. Schisandra is one of those things where if someone consumes too much of it, you can have kind of a negative experience with it. It can be overstimulating. And I find a lot of people doing that. A lot of people will try Schisandra for the first time and consume so much of it that it makes them feel way overstimulated. And if you feel way overstimulated, you might not actually enjoy it. There's a sweet spot with Schisandra. There's a sweet spot with most herbs. And herbs like Gynostemma, herbs like reishi mushroom or lion's mane or chaga or longan, things like snow lotus. There's a sweet spot here, ladies and gentlemen. And just because you consume something and it makes you feel kind of weird doesn't mean that it's bad for you. It might just mean that you've taken too much. So luckily, my videos have inspired a lot of people to experiment with Schisandra, and a lot of people have had some great results with it. But the way that I consume Schisandra most often, you guys, is I will take the berries, the organic berries, and I will put them in a coffee grinder. And I bought a specific coffee grinder for like $10 on Amazon Prime just for grinding herbs, not for grinding coffee. Because if you grind herbs in a coffee grinder, it usually makes the coffee grinder taste like the herbs, regardless of how much you clean it, because of the essential oils that come out of the herbs and the berries and whatnot. So I have a designated coffee grinder that I grind my Schisandra and my other herbs with. And I grind my Schisandra berries into a powder, into a fine powder. And what that does, you guys, is it breaks open the berry and it releases or increases the amount of surface area on the inside of the berry and the seeds on the inside. So, if you consume Schisandra and you're not actually grinding it into a powder, you're missing out on like 70% of the benefits of Schisandra. And I know this because I've done the experiments. I've done multiple different experiments where I've made potions with Schisandra, and I would take the dried berry and just make, Schisandra berry potion, excuse me. My mouth isn't keeping up with my mind. And then the next day I would consume a potion of Schisandra that I had made with ground up, finely powdered berries. And wow, is there a difference. It is night and day, ladies and gentlemen. You will feel so much more of the mental cognitive benefits from Schisandra if you grind it into a powder. Now, one thing I will recommend is that you should never buy powdered Schisandra from companies. I've tried it, and the stuff is usually low quality. And when you grind Schisandra into a powder and it sits on a shelf for a long time in a bag, it rapidly diminishes many of its cognitive enhancing qualities. And again, I've done the experiments. I've consumed bag after bag after bag of powdered Schisandra, extracted Schisandra. I've consumed multiple pounds of the herb in its natural form, and I'm currently working on getting my hands on some Schisandra to actually grow here in Virginia. I'm going to try to do my best to grow it because it is probably my favorite herb of all time. But I just wanted to stress the importance of, if you're experimenting with Schisandra as a tea and you're not having any benefits from it, are you boiling it? You need to actually boil Schisandra. You don't just put it in warm water. It's not how it works. So I guess I'll have to make a video, and I will make a video showing you guys the actual brewing process. If you're just starting out with Schisandra as a tea, it might be best for you to consume it, just the berries, in boiling water. Boil the berries for about 5 minutes, turn it off and let it sit until it's cold, and then consume it. Because, the difference between ground Schisandra and non-ground Schisandra is night and day, and you might get a little overstimulated. So Schisandra, well, you might be asking, who is Schisandra good for, or who are these tonic herbs good for? Tonic herbs are good for anyone who's interested in evolving their mind. Tonic herbs of the tonic herbs of the traditional Chinese medicine system are good for anyone who's interested in boosting their creativity and enhancing their cognition. The tonic herbs are good for anyone who's interested in naturally increasing their level of health, while at the same time, these herbs are just kind of on a different level compared to what most people are used to consuming. So, but it's all about quality. I really like the Dragon Herbs Company. There's a handful of different sources that I use. But I'm going to wrap this one up, you guys. My mouth isn't keeping up with my mind, and I just wanted to touch upon Gynostemma pentaphyllum. It's called penta or pentaphyllum because penta means 5, or pent, which is, the leaves of Gynostemma actually looks like a pentagram. So there's actually some really interesting metaphysical associations with Gynostemma because of that. 5 is a very sacred number, and so is the pentagram. And the leaves of Gynostemma pentaphyllum look like a pentagram. What's interesting, you guys, is that Gynostemma actually harbors identical alkaloids to the ginseng roots, to actual ginseng. This stuff can contain something known as gypenicides, which are very, very bioactive components that make it very healthy. This is known as poor man's ginseng because it has just as much, it appears to have just as many health benefits as ginseng for totally a fraction of the price. Ginseng is incredibly expensive. And in order for ginseng to even be effective or healthy, it actually has to be aged ginseng. Young ginseng has not reached a level of maturity, and the plant is not stable yet. And most people are consuming young ginseng. You're much better off if you're interested in ginseng, you guys. That's great. But again, the only good ginseng is aged ginseng. It's only good quality ginseng when it's had its immortality gene activated. And we'll talk more about that in the near future. But Gynostemma is a cheaper alternative, and you'll actually get much more health benefits to drinking Gynostemma in comparison to cheap ginseng. So that's just a brief little tip. I'm going to wrap this one up, you guys. Until next time, peace be with you all. Thank you for watching. I hope that my channel and my messages, my passion, you name it, can inspire you today to take better care of your health. There's nothing more important than taking daily steps towards greater health. Health impacts every part of your life, ladies and gentlemen. Physical, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, you name it. It addresses every part of our lives. Health is indeed the divine foundation that we need to have so that we can achieve the life that we want. This is Lord Ganesh, the remover of obstacles, and I hope that the obstacles in your life, if you have them, can clear, and that you can attain your heart's desire. I do indeed hope that we can achieve a greater state of being here in this world. We weren't designed to have to deal with all this insanity here in this world, and I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, that if we take greater steps towards our health and we envision a greater world, we can get closer to achieving that. So I just wanted to wrap this one up with a thank you, and until next time, peace be with you all.